Can you guys hear me? Good afternoon again. I'm going to answer the question about the issue of the failing municipalities, whether it's an issue of lack of ethics or mismanagement. I simply believe it's both, plus the fact that maybe there are no, I've stopped thinking that there are no skills in local government. There are skills in local government. I mean, back in the day in 2006 when we joined government, maybe there were no skills, but today there are. Whether those skills are being allowed to be exercised is another issue. So it's a suppression of those skills in terms of the people who are meant to give advice to those powers that be. Are they giving that advice? If not, what is the reason that they're not doing their job? And then whether the people are choosing not to take that advice and they're choosing to basically continue. So it's an element of everything. Just everything is just worn out in terms of the moral fiber. But I refuse. There are obviously, and I stand corrected, there are municipalities, especially the rural ones, that still struggle with attracting and retaining skills. Those are exceptional. But most municipalities, especially the failing ones, it's not due to the absence of skills. It's due to the failure to use those skills because of whatever. So yeah, that's my take. It's a personal opinion. How do you build a career? I think, Odo, you'll take that. Thank you for letting me market my business. It's XO Collection SA on Instagram. I've just hired a marketing person. Our page is not that. We are a clothing manufacturing, not a clothing fashion business. So when you go there, please don't get disappointed. We will improve. It's XO Collection SA. We also have XO Collection uniforms. And then I'm Xoliswa Hlongwane on LinkedIn. I'm not too much on Facebook. But I'm Xoliswa Hlongwane on social media. In terms of the advice to interns on growing up without a father, it's quite a tough one because I think we would be lying if we're saying psychologically and socially it doesn't affect you when you grow up without any parent or both your parents. But particularly I've seen a trend on young women that are growing up without their fathers. They tend to date the guys that they hoped that the gap that their fathers would fill. And, they get to date bullies, narcissists, who show them the little bit of care, but is everything wrong in a man? So my advice to fathers or who are not present, especially in their daughters, even sons, by the way. If you're not present in your child's life, you're creating this person. And other fathers are absent because maybe they think they have no value to give to their kids. Maybe you're an intern, you earn 100,000 a year, and you feel that you don't have, and maybe the mother is more powerful. But the child does not really care. That if you put a stick sweet, or you just come with a worn-out soccer ball and you say, "Come, let's play ball." It's the presence, the feeling of presence, and then you take them to an environment, to a school where they have kids with both parents. So this life that they are living at your home, they don't understand. So you're causing a very social monster in this child that you're bringing up because he's exposed or she's exposed to a life that that is not happening to her. So then she starts then saying, am I not deserving of a father that loves me or spends time with me? Because here he's available, he just doesn't choose to spend time with me. And then in women, it actually manifests itself into the partners that they choose to marry or to date, and it becomes catastrophic, and it also adds to the GBV issues that we have as a country. So please be in your kids' lives, however way that you possibly can. in terms of, I'll also take the question about the ideas of interns that are not taken seriously. Guys, you know, ungaphaphi mo intern ne khona abantu that come with that I know you guys know, I don't mean it bad, come with that attitude of saying I'm cum laude, I'm smart, I'm going to change this place. Don't come with that attitude, because then the person that is supposed to receive that advice is already turned off by the manner of approach, arrogance, of saying, I'm the youngest here, I'm a millennial, I know what needs to happen, so you must do it. So don't come with that attitude. Work. When you're smart, it shows. It's not announced. The people that you work with, they know your capabilities. So work, and the person that is meaningful, that will meaningful to decision making, will find you, and your ideas will find them. They will seek you out, and they will ask you what you think. And even if you don't get sought out, you will get the right opportunities. That's streetwiseness I was talking about earlier. Identify where is that right opportunity where you're in the lift with the director. That 1 minute pitch. What will you say if Ramaphosa came to your municipality and you have to grab his bag if your bodyguards will let you? What is that few things that you'll say? So learn that skill of saying when you are around powerful people, in few words, humble few words, how can you sell yourself? That's how you build a legacy and a career also at the same time. Be different. And already if you work hard and you are smart and you always apply yourself and you humble yourself, you're already different. So don't try too hard. They will notice you. People will notice you. You always stand out. Your light always shines. So allow it to shine, and you'll get noticed, and you'll build a legacy. And then lastly, I want to talk about how do you find a mentor. You identify the traits that you want to learn from. Contrary, I mean, there are bad people in life that we can't change. There are people you will approach and they'll tell you they are busy and you ubabangeli or whatever, but it's not everyone like that. People do want to give back. As busy as they are, they do want an opportunity. So sometimes they just haven't said. You know, with this donation drive that I did, I approached my friends. It was very difficult because I decided I want to donate to kids. Then I brought out people that I know that they must also buy gifts. But then the feedback I was getting is, thank you for making me do this. It was nice. So people do want to mentor you. You must make them notice that you are there to be mentored. The bad ones will chase you away. That's okay. You probably don't need that attitude as part of your mentorship journey anyway. The right person, when you approach them, be brave and be able to say, hi, can I have coffee with you? I feel like I can learn a lot from you. When would be the right time to actually, I'm looking for a mentor, but also maybe have coffee first and understand whether that person has the capacity to mentor you or wants to mentor anybody. But learn the tact of approaching anybody. But don't fear. Of putting yourself down, this fear of rejection, it emanates from how you grew up as well and how you've been made to say, don't raise your hand, don't allow that thing. It's bad, it's the devil. Yeah, so put yourself out there. When you walk out after Kolisa told you, no, I can't mentor you, no one out there will see that Kolisa just said that to you. And then approach the next Kolisa, the better Kolisa. Don't fear being put down if you want something that's really going to benefit you. Okay?
Thank you for that. Good afternoon again. I'm just going to pick up on some of those questions or comments that were raised. The first one with regards to the audit findings. Yes, it's certainly a mixture of both in terms of the question around ethics, or was it mismanagement? I think if we reflect upon it, for us a major question is, have we heard this before? Or are we hearing it for the first time? If you looked at the Auditor General, the findings were very clear. The issue around discrepancies, the issue around using consultants, and then the major concern is we've got permanently employed staff. Why is there a need for us to be using consultants in terms of having to get the job done? Are we not confident in the personnel that we have, that we still constantly look out for consultants to fill in the so-called gap? Is there really a gap? Or are we conforming to what we think is best practice? So where are we actually going wrong? And more importantly, for us to do an introspection, we have excellent legislations in South Africa. If you're looking at your Municipal Finance Management Act, if you're looking at your regulations, you're looking at policies, you're looking at M&E instruments that we have. And yet we find ourselves in this unfortunate position year in and year out. So, what is the learning that is taking place? Or are we in denial? And I think that is what we need to come to terms with. Are we accepting our, if I may say, poor practices? Are we acknowledging it? Are we understanding what is going wrong and what is then required of us to forge ahead? Or is it just another report, so what, we're over and done with this, now move on until the next time we need to get into the same situation? So do we only have a buzz before, this mammoth? Is that what's happening? Is it a stop and go type of scenario? Or is it an integrated total quality management that we have in place? And I think that is what is required of us. And we as interns can also play a significant role in terms of identifying these challenges, these shortfalls from a process, from a systemic point of view. And then look at how best we can strategically then start moving ahead. So I think, it leaves a lot for our introspection, us within the various organizations, us within local government, us within finance, in terms of having to turn this ship around. It's never too late, but it's important for us to acknowledge our mistakes, our shortfalls, and then build on that. The issue around silos in municipalities, and I think, this is very, real. Not only in municipalities, we find this across the board in many organizations, many institutions. We talk about a holistic, integrated approach. Okay, integrated management, integrated total quality management. To what extent are we actually integrating? In teams ourselves, we don't integrate. Yes, it's about you and I. It's about this is what you need to do and this is what I need to do. But we need to collate. That is what teams are about. It's about synergizing. It's about sharing. So if we are not doing that in teams, how are we going to do that within our section, within our organization? So it's about, once again, starting very small. And on a small scale, we can start making those differences. Earlier on I said we need to learn to coordinate, collaborate, and cooperate. We need to respect each other. Yes, having to collaborate and to coordinate and to cooperate to a large extent does not mean that you are losing your identity. And that is where the fear comes very often, is that I still want to maintain the power. I still want to have the final say. And if I'm going to share and if I'm going to work in collaboration, does it mean that I'm going to get the recognition? Oh, maybe not. And that is a fear that I want to shine, and I want to shine the brightest. And hence there is this reluctance. So as much as we say, yes, we're integrating, but in practice, we often do not fulfill that, because there are lots of power struggles that we find within boardrooms that actually creates those hurdles for you and I at a very functional or operational level. So it's about us at that functional operational level, having to then engage and interact and create our linkages and create those partnerships within our sectors, within our units, within our teams that will be able to strengthen our actions. And hence we can push forward those borders, and nobody else would be able to create those hurdles for us. So again, it starts from you and I at this particular level to start making that subtle changes that we want to see. You have to become the change agent. Do not assume that somebody else is going to create those change for you. You as a catalyst will have to start with those maybe very minute in your eyes, but yes, most certainly, you can make a difference. Okay, so it's about starting with that. The issue around can I impact in terms of organizational structures, organizational values, perhaps policies, procedures, and I'm going to concur with what was said in the sense that we have very often, I've been working with students for a long time, and one of the criticisms I hear from industry is that your students are coming across too strongly. And I say, wow, I'm proud. They're coming across strongly, so which means they're speaking with conviction, yes. But remember, it's not about what you say. It's about how you say it. That is crucial. And I understand we are new within this environment. Learn to blend in with the environment first. You talk about orientation. What is orientation? So you need to understand. You need to grasp the environment. You need to grow with it. And then, with confidence and with conviction, based on evidence, you can start making that difference. So do not just say things for the sake of, I need to say something because I want to be recognized and I want to be seen and heard. You want to create impact. You want to stand out, but for the right things. And that recognition would come with how you say things and saying it in a correct manner, based on facts, information, and evidence, which is crucial. And that helps you to grow in terms of your level of confidence. Often we say, no, do I really want to say it? No, not really. And yet somebody else says it, and you say, but I knew this. Well, if you knew it, you understand, you have the skill. It's about building that confidence, and it comes with knowledge. It also comes with that experience and the exposure you have at various platforms. We sometimes question the menial tasks that we have to do, and yet the menial tasks assist in opening up big doors. So think about it as a challenge. It's not about having to look down on what you have to do, but those may be the golden opportunities you may have never got had you been confined to your day-to-day activities. So be a visionary and think beyond just your job description, if I may say. The interesting question around 4IR and the impact it's going to have on us, I think all of us across the workspace are feeling very intimidated and very threatened. Is there still space for us as human beings? If you're looking at technology, you're looking at robotics and the marvelous things that they can do. The question we need to ask, we're here to serve human beings. And the issues around effectiveness and efficiency is first and foremost. So when one looks at, do I have a job for tomorrow, and if that is what the question is about, it depends on you at the end of the day. Are you going to be investing in your technological skill and competence to keep up to pace with the demands of the new work environment? Then if so, you ought not to be threatened. Because bring on the challenge and I'll be prepared. But if not, then I think you have something to be concerned about. Because the question is about fit for purpose. Are you fit for purpose? Do you have the relevant skills? Do you have the relevant competence? And are you going to be able to maneuver between systems and processes and all these changes and complexities that are coming your way? Or are you going to be passive enough and say, no, really, not now. Okay, I still need training. It's about you having to find yourself. Okay, be able to identify the skills and the skills gaps that you have and strategically put together a roadmap for yourself and start ticking that box. Okay, the question around the mentors. How do I find a mentor? Is it something that I need to do on my own, or will it be done automatically? How do I engage with a mentor? And I think this is a valuable question, because often it is about, yes, you're attached to a person, but how much of valuable time do you have with the individuals concerned? Because yes, we respect that we have a very hectic work program, and this is sometimes seen as an add-on. And I think as interns, I'm sorry to state that often you have to apologize all the time. It's sad. When I say apologize all the time, that's sorry that I need to interrupt, and sorry I need this assistance, sorry, in that sense. But that ought not to be the case. At the end of the day, you have a rightful place within the organization, and the organization ought to have an appropriate enabling environment for you, to be able to accommodate you, to be able to accommodate your learning and your training within this period. And it's about you having to match up to what the organization is providing you. An ideal starting place would be to have an initial meeting and then determine some of the roles and responsibilities in terms of meeting times, what would best suit your mentor or your coach, for instance, be it as to whether it's going to be once a week, be it as to whether it's going to be on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday. So those are finer details and logistics that one can try and maneuver and work around. So I think it's about an understanding of what's expected of me, and at the same time what's expected of the mentor, and how best we can meet as regular as possible. And I think that is crucial, so that you are also keep the mentor abreast in terms of your development, in terms of your learnings. But at the same time, if there's challenges that you identify, then you get intervention sooner than later. Because you don't want to feel that, no, I need to prove my worth and get your task accomplished only to realize that it is a major catastrophe. And you know time is money within government, within local government in particular, and you cannot afford to make errors because it's the reputation of government, the organization, and everything else. So I'm not going to unpack that just yet, but it's important that we understand what's expected, and there are some arrangements around how you can work very gainfully with the mentor without having to be in one's face. But if we have a pre-arranged type of program or schedule, it most certainly would work for all concerned. So I trust and I hope that I have addressed most of your concerns. Thank you.
Okay. I think I'll also just touch on some of the questions that have already been responded to as well. On the question on ethics or mismanagement, I think I also do agree that there's a combination of both. there's an ethics issue, and then there's an issue of management. But at the same time, I also do believe that there are people that are actually ethical, that are working in local government, in organizations in general. And that is the stakeholder actually that we should work towards supporting, right? There was mention of a lot of good legislation, right, that can be used to make sure that the environments actually get rid of that sort of narrative of that sort of stakeholder that is actually unethical, so that we start to build this public sector environment that will not only look after the financial interests of certain individuals, but that will want to work the right way all the time, so that there's impact on you and me, the person on the street. The services are delivered all the time. So I think education is important. Now, in terms of the politicians, for example, that have to hold those municipal officials that are unethical accountable, right? If it means that the person must be disciplined, must be removed, those actions must actually be taken. And the honest truth is that, the accounting officer might have, certain powers that are given to them in terms of the FMAA, but there's still another stakeholder that needs to come into play, which is the political principles, right? Those that need to actually act against that municipal manager that is, for example, I'm just making an example because it's a local government, environment here that we're talking about. The politicians need to play their roles. They do have their powers that have been given to them. There was no need for the AG to even go and ask for additional powers, for example, to go and actually do the things that the accounting officer must actually be doing, right? And I think now in this report, the AG reported that because of the implementation of those material irregularities, they're starting to see some form of a response in terms of addressing the findings that are being raised. So I do believe that we still need to, to work with the people that are actually ethical. And I believe that the group that is new should actually be feeding off those individuals within the environments that you work in. Have them close, work with them so that, I don't like using this word, but you don't get tainted, right? As part of the group that is just unethical, termed as not knowing what they're doing, all the bad that you get associated with because you're working in this public sector environment. So it is something that I believe that it can be avoided and it can be corrected if we just use the tools that are available already to us. In terms of focusing on your career and legacy, I think you need to see them as the same, right? You cannot create that good legacy of yourself if you are thinking in silos in a way. So your career basically creates your legacy. So what will you be remembered by, as an individual? What impact have you had in that organization? You yourself, what impact have you had when you sit and reflect again on yourself? Are you doing good? Are you doing bad? That is the legacy, right? That you're trying to build as you navigate through your career. So you cannot see them, in silos. So those two work together. In terms of the advice again, I always say that, there could be a lot that we can achieve just in general in government, right? If we just worked together. So you find Department X is doing something similar to Department B, or they're doing things that actually complement each other. But if you just sat and talked and, sat in one table, you could have a lot more impact, right? Again, what was mentioned, the approach, you now as an individual wanting to make the change, your approach becomes very important. Helm yourself, put those views across. I know we're disruptors, but put those views across in a respectful, humble way, right? Because then you will be able to be listened to. When you create those relationships, you should be able to be humble, respectful. You can put your views across, but just not in a disrespectful way. Then people will actually listen to you. And actually people do want to listen to the younger generation that is coming into the field, because we're always going to see things differently, right? Then it's all about how do you complement what is already there, how do you navigate through changing what is already there, and it's all about the approach. So don't be arrogant. I think that is what I'm trying to say. The 4IR, it's true, right? Things are changing. And I think the one thing that we as CAs specifically that we get taught is to be agile, right? You always need to be adaptive all the time because things change all the time. And that is why then we spoke about keeping up with the trends. How are you getting yourself ready as well with what is changing around you, right? You need to be able to keep up. Prepare yourself, walk with what is changing, then you'll never be left behind, never. The unfortunate part is that government is still struggling in terms of technology, and that is just the reality that we are sitting with. COVID, when you're auditing around COVID, you saw that it's still really, really a problem. But some of the good things that you see from COVID is that people are starting to change, like starting to think differently. Do I need to have a printed document, for example? Those are the questions that we can ask. Or do I need to scan that document onto a system, right? Then it's a matter of you viewing, it's a matter of you printing, rather than going and finding a stack of paper somewhere in a dark room that no one has kept, even appropriately, the filing. So those are the things that we really need to start thinking and influencing, as well as the people that are sitting in this room. Like, how do we approach things differently, learning from the COVID-19 pandemic. So really, it's about us also trying to keep up with the times, making sure that we are not left behind. On the mentor, I think the other thing that we need to remember is that your mentor need not be the person that is within your organization, right? I'll make an example about myself. When I was doing my training contract, I actually identified a person within the organization that I was auditing that actually this is a person that I can actually speak to. I'm watching the way they carry themselves. I'm watching how their career has been progressing. I'm listening to what they say, like with their mouth. Is it something that I relate to? Is it something that I want to take in? Is it something that I want to use as well? So I approached them, as scared as I was, because it was all about applying that point of creating relationships. Right? You create relationships with the people that you interact with. And yeah, luckily they agreed. And they were my mentor throughout my articles. And the person was not even in finance, by the way. So I was not even dealing with them as part of the audit process because they were not in finance. But all I'm saying is that, it's all about identifying that person that you feel links with your values, links with what you want to achieve as well. And just talk, create those relationships. Being scared sometimes doesn't get you far. Introvert, being an introvert, I think it was something was mentioned like that earlier on. It doesn't get you far. So sometimes you need to really challenge yourself and be able to approach those people. And you learn that you actually able to navigate a whole lot of things if you just challenge yourself as well. So really, it doesn't need to be someone that is within the organization. It can be someone that is outside that you can approach. I think I'll end there. Thanks.